Yeah, Nikita, competitive not only in our region, but this was one of the most closely watched House races in the United States this election night, and the big winner does join us now, Congressman Mike Lawler. Congressman, should I congratulate you on the re-election, the birth of your second daughter? You just became the Rockland GOP chairman. It's been quite the week for you.
It's been a very fascinating and interesting week. Obviously, on a personal level, becoming a father for the second time is what's most important. But I'm truly humbled by the outpouring of support tonight with a big win in one of the most contested races in the country.
And, so I got to ask you about the math, right? The Democrats outnumber the Republicans in this district by 83,000. The state party, they literally poured millions and millions of dollars into this race. You were out fundraised, in fact, outmanned. What do you think brought you to the finish line?
Look, I've won 3 times now in 2-to-1 Democratic districts, and it's because I talk about the issues that matter to families and cut across party line. We go into every single community and do the job. And I think people appreciate the work that we do, whether they agree with me fully or not. As Ed Koch famously said, if you agree with me on 9 out of 12 things, vote for me. If you agree with me on 12 out of 12 things, go have your head examined. The fact is, we're not going to agree on everything. But what I've shown 3 times now is that we agree on a lot more than we don't. And by focusing on those issues, we can win pretty big.
So let me ask you, take your pick. This race really became a microcosm of what we saw playing out on the national stage, from women's reproductive rights to the migrant surge, crime and the economy, public safety. Which among those do you feel was the strongest motivator for voters in the 17th district to turn out today?
Well, I think it was a few things. Obviously, the affordability crisis is the #1 issue. People can't afford to pay their groceries, their utility bills, their housing bills. So that was the biggest driver. The migrant crisis was a major factor. Abortion was an issue, but I was very clear. I would never support a federal ban on abortion, and I think voters understood that despite the lies that were thrown out to the tune of millions of dollars. And I also think, frankly, my opponent's extremism on so many key issues, including defunding the police, cashless bail, open borders, all his previous statements came back to haunt him in this election.
Has he called you to concede?
Not yet, as far as I know. Obviously, we came out and declared victory. Look, Mondaire and I talked earlier in the day. We had a very cordial text exchange. I'm sure we will connect in the coming day. And again, at the end of the day, this wasn't about him or I. It was about the people of this district and the issues that matter to them.
But you know what's going to happen now. You were already considered a rising star of the party, but now these results take things to a whole new level. And I did not hear a small amount of people tonight questioning whether or not you'd be making a run for New York governor in the future. How seriously are you considering that?
Look, obviously, we just had a big win tonight, and I'm going to savor that victory. We'll talk about what's next, but what's most important is getting back to work on behalf of the constituents of this district, and that's what I'm going to do. But as I talked about in my speech, we have real challenges in this state, and regardless of what position I hold or office I choose to run for in the future, the fact is we need serious change in New York, and I'm going to hold Kathy Hochul and the Democrat majority in Albany's feet to the fire to do better for our state here in New York.
So I think the other big takeaway, other than your victory for local voters of Vote 2024, is really the early voting surge and vote by mail. And in your particular district, it was over, I believe, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, 1 out of 3 voters took part in early voting this year. What do you attribute that to? Because typically that would break for the Democrats, right?
Look, every time I've run for office, I've won early voting because we've made a big push on getting our voters out. I don't care how people vote. They can vote by absentee, they can vote early, they can vote on election day. The fact is we want them to vote. And I think what you saw today and what you're seeing across the country, people are voting, they're taking advantage of early voting, and that's a good thing.
So I got to ask you quickly, Okay, I'm getting the wrap, so here's the last question for you. How you started your speech tonight. So you walked out to your victory speech, Beat It by Michael Jackson was, of course, playing, and the first words you said, let's see, were, what an absolute ass-kicking the Hudson Valley told Mondaire Jones to beat it. Was this you poking fun at the controversy that came up in your race about your former Halloween costume?
Absolutely. I mean, listen, anytime you deal with situations, you got to lean into it, embrace it, and own it. And that's what I did when the news broke on that. I owned it, and we moved forward. But I think voters gave a resounding answer tonight, and they know who I am. They know who I am as a person and what I believe, and I think they gave the final answer on the issue.
Congratulations to you, Congressman. There's only about 500 people waiting to congratulate you, so I'll let you get to it. Enjoy your evening. And now I believe we're going to toss things over to Jonathan Gordon to see what Mondaire Jones had to say this evening. Jonathan.